Bueno, hoy estamos cerquita de Alamogordo, Nuevo México, y nos encontramos con una persona muy especial. Tenemos una entrevista, algo que creo que no se ha visto en México aún. Así que tenemos una primicia con Lyn Buchanon. Hello, Lyn, how are you?
Just fine, thank you.
Okay, you are a remote viewer, correct?
That's right.
First of all, what is a remote viewer?
A remote viewer, back in the early 60s and 70s, the U.S. government realized that it needed psychic spies, but it didn't want to deal with psychics. So they took some psychics out to Stanford in California and studied them and to find out what goes on inside the mind of a psychic when they're doing good work. And then they took that science and structured a methodology whereby anybody can do the work of a real psychic. And it's a science. It can be taught to anyone. And basically when somebody says they're a remote viewer, it means they don't have enough psychic ability to do it by themselves, but they've learned how. That's it.
So it's basically, it started by the government. It was fun and was probably secret if it was for spying purposes, correct?
That's right. It was secret for 28 years.
So how did this come out to the light?
When the Cold War ended, the funding went away for many of the spying and espionage projects. One of them was our project. It quit being funded, and so it was disbanded. And about 5 years later, the CIA was getting requests because people wanted to know where certain information had come from. And so they finally just let the information out that we had been working for them.
Okay, so that is a brief history of remote viewing. What was your role in this?
My role was as a remote viewer, first of all, and then I was also the database manager. We kept extremely accurate data on all of the work that was done by all of the remote viewers for the United States government. And so I was both the database manager and one of the remote viewers.
How many remote viewers worked on the program?
Over the 25 years, I think there were 18 remote viewers that worked on the program. We never had more than 6 at a time.
You were probably sworn to secrecy or something like that, correct?
Absolutely, right.
So when you come out to the light nowadays, presently, how does that work? Or how does it affect you or on the information that you give out presently?
When it first came out, we had a lot of people who thought that the government had been messing with their minds, and all of a sudden they had a name. So we started getting a lot of death threats and things like that. But now people have found out what remote viewing is, and that it's it's not messing with people's minds. It's just collecting intelligence, finding missing children, finding medical problems with people's bodies and things like that. And so it's just information collection. And so now that they've found that out and been educated, people are wanting to learn it because they found that it's useful in business, in archaeology, in just about every walk of life. We even have people who come here and learn how to use it for going to Las Vegas and gambling.
Nowadays, is there a remote viewing program for the United States government?
I hope there is. Once you retire, they quit telling you things, But as useful as we were, and as many lives as we saved, I hope that there is still a project. It would be stupid of the government not to have a project like this. But of course, that brings up the question, does the government ever do anything stupid? So, I don't know.
One of the questions that comes up every time an interview is done to a remote viewer is, okay, can you remote view to see if there is a program for the government?
Yes, you can.
Have you tried that, or has anyone tried?
I don't know if anyone's tried. I'm staying out of it. As we continued to work, we continued to learn. And it's just my suspicion that if there is a remote viewing effort now, it's probably better, and their remote viewers are better than I was back when when we were first learning things. And so I just stay out of it.
Okay, let's get into specifics now. On a grander scale of what you have done, a specific detail of what the remote viewing program did to help the United States or the world.
First of all, we worked a lot with political hostage crises, finding the political hostages so that they could be rescued. Also keeping track of their health, their well-being, and so forth, and tracking down the terrorist who abducted them. We also worked in the Gulf War in Grenada, and with several of the different dictators, worked against them, collecting information. And basically, we added the information that nobody else could get into the information pool so that the United States intelligence effort could have more information to work with.
Okay. Nowadays, has there been any repercussion to your personal life for coming out publicly with information about this? I mean, has the government tried to stop you in any way?
No. In the beginning, they did, and I went into the Defense Intelligence Agency and just had a talk with them, and I said, look, you release this information, we're out there, people want to know, and so tell me what I can say and what I can't say. And once I made that agreement with them, then everything's been fine.
So, as I understand right now, there's many details that you will not be able to, or you have not been able to speak about, correctly?
That's correct, right.
Okay, now, how does remote viewing work for the people who still don't know what we are talking about?
Okay, remote viewing goes under the assumption that your subconscious mind knows a lot of things that never makes it to your conscious mind. And your conscious mind and your subconscious just don't talk to each other. And so what they'd made at Stanford, a man named Ingo Swann devised a method whereby you can have like a translator. And, if I say consciously, I want to raise my hand, I raise my hand. But let's say unconsciously, I'm not paying any attention and something crawls across my hand, I'll lift it. Because my unconscious mind can also work with my hand. And so what Ingo came up with was a method whereby your subconscious mind talks to your body, and the body talks to the conscious mind, and the information comes that way. So what we do is we begin with kind of a martial art type thing. Like in karate practice, you have all the kids going ha, ha, and all that. In this method, we tell a person, draw the simplest graphic representation you can of land. Okay, now water. And they do something like that. And we practice this over and over and over, just hundreds and hundreds of times. And one day, instead of saying water and having them automatically do that, we'll say target 23, and they'll go like that. And they'll say, well, what does that mean? And then we take out target number 23, and it's always what they told us physically that it was. And so by doing this, it's like a martial art. If you have to think about a fight, you're going to lose it. But if your subconscious gets into a fight and you're a martial artist, you win.